At the moment, you're under a lot of pressure. Apart from being in prison, there are the problems at home and... Well, the women here don't like, or more to the point, don't understand anything about child abuse. And mostly their lack of understanding is exaggerated by the fact that they're cut off from their own children. Oh, Gail, you've got to stop hating yourself.
For what I did?
But you were under a lot of pressure from home, and once you admit that, it'll be easier to do something about it.
That's why we want you to think about joining Parents Anonymous. They're a specialised self-help group for parents who have abused their children or who are afraid they might.
Yeah, but why are you here? I mean, why can't Mr. Reed handle this?
Well, Mr. Reed is very busy. And since this is an area that Captain Barton is expert in, Mrs. Davidson thought... Well, the point is, you've got to get help, and these people can help you.
One of the things that they stress, Gail, is that criticism only makes you feel more of a failure, which in turn can lead to further abuse.
Do you mean there's people that really understand?
Of course there are. Now, with this group, you only need to use your Christian name if you like. There are no costs involved, and there's a 24-hour counselling service. And they can also help with things like marriage guidance, legal advice, home help. And there are volunteers on hand to help you with the children if you feel you're reaching a crisis situation.
Now, it'll help at your trial if you say you're joining Parents Anonymous. And more important, it'll help you get custody of the children.
Yeah, but how come everyone else can handle it okay?
Don't you believe it. There are far too many people too quick to say, I can cope. Mrs. Next Door has no problems with her children, therefore she'll think I'm hopeless if I say I have, so I won't admit it. And you end up bottling everything up inside you and suddenly exploding. Now, why should anyone feel ashamed or guilty to say they need help?
Here, we can both use this.
Oh, great.
Oh, you'll never get out of the country on an expired passport.
Yeah, well, I've been given the name of a forger by one of the girls inside.
You know, I could never set myself up to be sent to prison, no matter how much I cared about anybody. But then you always were different. Jude, try taking anything out of the bank and they'll grab you.
Yeah, I know. But I'll think of something.
Listen, I can let you have a bit. Well, not much, because most of our money's going into making this mess.
You're someone very special. Did you know that?
Of course I do. You're really set on going back to the States? Oh, look, I'm sorry that letter from your dad took so long arriving, but it was sent to 2 addresses before I finally got it and passed it on to you.
Yeah, well, I've got to go back, you see. My dad wants to see me.
Hi, Meg.
Tony, where have you been? Your father's worried sick.
Well, yeah, but I didn't want to tell him where I was going in case he tried to talk me out of it.
There's always the telephone.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't have time. Spent most of the last 2 days hitchhiking to Adelaide and back.
Adelaide?
Yeah, for a job. And I got it.
Marvellous. Congratulations.
Thanks. Actually, it's not just a job. It's a partnership. It depends on Dad coming good with the money.
Well, what sort of business is it?
It's a garage.
Oh, that's a tough one these days, especially the way oil prices are going.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm sure we can make it work. It's better than being on the dole.
Of course it is. Good luck.
Thanks. You don't think Dad'll be too upset to see me?
No, he'll be relieved to see you. He's really been worried.
It's becoming quite the family day.
Does it bother you?
Well, just as long as Paul Reed finds time to put in his report on Gail Summers.
Oh, you must read it, Vera. You'll be pleased to see we've accomplished quite a lot.
Oh, you're not an authority on child abuse cases. That girl's sick. What she needs is a good psychiatrist.
What she needs is support and understanding.
Oh, next you'll be saying she wasn't to blame. It was all the children's fault.
Look, it's a combination of a lot of things. But making her feel guilty only adds to the problems.
Well, I don't know why people bother having children if they can't look after them.
You only ever see everything in black and white, don't you, Vera? And perhaps you're not to blame either. Parents have a lot to answer for in some cases.
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. Forget I ever mentioned it.
There was nothing wrong with my childhood. My mother was strict, but what's wrong with that? If I hadn't respected her, I wouldn't have looked after her all those years.
I'm talking about when you were a child. Well, she was strict, all right. Wouldn't let you have any pets, wouldn't let you study painting, which you loved. But it goes deeper than that, Vera. She never said a nice word to you. It was always how plain you were, clumsy, how badly you were doing at school. Well, that's what you told me. She even made you feel guilty about your father walking out on you. Now, that's what I call mental abuse of a child, which can be just as damaging as physical abuse. I'm sorry, but I would have thought you, of all people, would have a little more understanding about what Gail's going through.
Well, that's the last time I tell you anything. And come to think of it, if your childhood was so wonderful, why don't you ever talk about it?
This Jude thing must be a real worry to you, Mrs. Davidson.
Oh, she'll be found.
Yeah, they never get away. I don't know why they want to get out in the first place. Funny she never mentioned anything about running off, though. I mean, you'd thought she'd have said something. We were mates. Closed book, that one.
Oh, do hurry up.
Oh, we've just finished, Mrs. Davidson.
These came for you.
Oh, just put them on the desk, would you, Miss Bennett?
Have you decided who's taking Burns's place?
Yes, I'll speak to some of the women before I leave. Could you wait outside until I've finished in here?
Hi. Well, that was a quick visit.
Yeah.
I returned to see how you went. Was Paul pleased to see you?
Yeah, he was at first. Then I told him about the money. He'd have thought I'd asked him for an arm or a leg or something.
Well, as I said, it's a risky business.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm sure we can make a go of it. The least he could have done was give us a chance.
Well, maybe he will. Just give him time to think about it.
I doubt it.
Just give him time. And come on, I'm finished for the day. I'll see you out.
I've got it. I've never had to read so fast in my life.
Well, who is it?
Fellas.
Oh, fan-bloody-tastic!
Don't go getting excited. You're not going, remember?
Oh, yeah. What do I have to do?
Maybe you can do 2 good deeds at once.
Your attention, please. Most of you want the work release program to be a success. However, there is always the occasional person who abuses the privilege. There has been one such instance already. I trust it will be the last. Should there be any more trouble at the factory, I will not hesitate to cancel the scheme.
Why don't you stay in your cell?
You keep coming in here. I'm sick of the sight.
Let go of her, Smith.
Now you know what it feels like. I was going to allow you to work at the factory tomorrow, Hunt, but you certainly lost any chance of that. Are you hurt?
On your feet. You'll be safer in your cell.
I think 24 hours locked in their cells wouldn't do these two any harm, Miss Bennett.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
This isn't going to make any difference to the others, is it, Mrs. Davidson? I mean, there are some women here who can be trusted. We all want this program to work, you know.
If I'd known I was
You
going to be...
had your chance, Hunt.
For once, Smith, you've proven that you can be responsible if you want to be. Perhaps you would like the opportunity of showing us you can be trusted.
Mrs. Davidson.
I want Smith to set an example to the women. She's to be allowed on work release tomorrow.
You can count on me, Mrs. Davidson.